Pitt, Notre Dame, this is the 74th meeting between these two great schools, and Notre Dame has had a lot of dominance in this series. They've won 51, lost 21, and tied 1 against Pitt. They've won 4 straight games over Pitt. Notre Dame's won 7 out of the last 8. And the last 2 times these teams met, it didn't go good for my Pitt Panthers. 2020, Pitt, 45-3, they lost to Notre Dame. And then in 2023, Notre Dame 58, Pitt 7. So a lot of these thoughts are probably lingering into the Pitt Panthers fan base, but you got to admit there have been some great games in this series over the year. I remember in 1991 when I was coaching, we were 5-0. We were one of the top teams in the nation. That was the last time Pitt and Notre Dame were both ranked, and they played against each other. 1991. I was a receiver coach. Ask me what happened.
How'd that go?
Not good. Notre Dame beat us 42-7. They had some sophomore running back come off the bench. I was like, it's just a sophomore. Can we tackle the guy? It was Jerome Bettis.
Yep.
And they had a guy named Bryant Young. He sacked us a few times. We had Curtis Martin playing for us. Anyways, that's the last time these two teams were both ranked. And this is the 50th anniversary, November 15th, of the 1975 game where Pitt got the best of Notre Dame, led by the great Tony Dorsett. 23 carries he had, 303 yards. He ripped the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. That 303-yard burst was the most yardage ever against the Notre Dame defense. You know, Tony Dorsett ran for over 750 yards in his career against the Fighting Irish. How about that? You like that, Jake?
I do.
It's a great stat. College football game day will be here for the Pitt Notre Dame game. It's the first time in 20 freaking years, man. And at halftime, the Pitt Panthers will retire Aaron Donald's number 97, one of the truly great Pitt Panthers of all time. Jerome Bettis, Curtis Martin, Ricky Waters, Dan Marino, Joe Montana, so many great players have competed in this game. Let's get into it, man. Let's roll. This Top of Mind is brought to you by Chevrolet. Football season's in full swing. And whether you're grinding through the week or gearing up for kickoff, there's one ride that's always game ready, the Chevy Silverado. Built for the hustle, ready for the game. Silverado is America's most dependable full-size truck. Head to Chevy.com to learn more and build your own Chevy Silverado. All right, this Saturday we got a great college football game. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, ranked number 9, heading to Pitt to play the Pitt Panthers, who are ranked 23rd in the country. Pat Narduzzi, head coach at Pitt, he called us. He invited us to the game. Yep. We're going.
We'll be there. Very exciting.
Fired up?
Yeah, Saturday.
See some real ACC football?
Yeah, finally.
You know, these two teams, they mean a lot to me. Not that anybody cares, but I grew up in South Bend. My dad coached for Notre Dame. I used to sit on the sidelines. Joe Montana was the quarterback. And then when I got my first big break in coaching, it was at Pitt. Paul Hackett hired me as a receiver coach. 1991, got a lot of great memories coaching there and living in South Bend. And I get the goosebumps, man, thinking about this. But you ever been to Pittsburgh?
Never been. Very excited to go. Been to a few ACC schools, and Pitt's the one I haven't been to, so pumped to be there.
Let's talk about these two head coaches. Pat Narduzzi, former defensive coordinator at Michigan State, 11th year at Pitt, done a hell of a job. He's kept this program competitive. They got a lot of really good young players. And Marcus Freeman, 40-12 at Notre Dame, ex-defensive coordinator at Cincinnati, Purdue. What's your take of the two coaches?
Yeah, Pat Narduzzi's done a great job at Pitt. You know, he's a very, very good defensive coach. Going to Pittsburgh as a UVA fan, I've always found it to be a very tough place to play and to win, so I give Pat Narduzzi a lot of credit. And Marcus Freeman, coming off a national championship appearance. Notre Dame's rolling. They lost their first 2 games early in the year, but since then, righted the ship, playing good ball, so it should be a very fun game to watch.
You know, Pitt and Notre Dame, they got freshman quarterbacks, and I've been doing a lot of research on quarterbacks my whole life, and I can't remember a game where you got 2 freshmen going head-to-head in a game of this magnitude in November. Can you remember a matchup like this?
I can't, and especially in today's day and age with college football, it's very, very hard to find 2 18-year-olds playing, and let alone playing this well on 2 very good teams. So again, very exciting.
Let's talk about C.J. Carr at Notre Dame first. I mean, this guy, I know he loses his first 2 games. He throws a couple interceptions. They lose to Miami. They lose a heartbreaker to Texas A&M. But since then, he's 7-0. He's thrown 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But it's the film. When you watch it, you see a guy making every throw. They can really push the ball down the field. I think I see more and more command at the line of scrimmage. This guy looks like a surefire #1 pick in the draft, Heisman Trophy candidate for the next couple years. What's your take on him, man?
If he plays this well to end the season and Notre Dame makes the playoff and they make a little bit of a run, he will be the Heisman favorite going into next year. So CJ Carr's playing at a very high level. Those first 2 games of the season, they lost by a combined 4 points, his first 2 starts ever. So even those losses are really very good signs of what's to come for CJ Carr.
We watch the college tapes every week, and we try to point out 4 or 5 of the top quarterbacks every week, so everybody out there can at least get familiarized with some of the men that are playing really well. And Mason Heinchel at Pitt showed up a couple weeks ago. They benched their starting quarterback. Pitt is 2-2. Narduzzi's pissed off. They go to the true freshman from Toledo. They've won 5 straight games. They're averaging 40 points a game. And I had Heinchel on our show. We interviewed him.
Yep.
And he comes across like a grown man. What's your take on Heinchel?
Yeah, he's 18, I'm 26. He's more mature than I am. So
he is,
a lot of
for
credit
sure.
to him. I give Narduzzi, first and foremost, a lot of credit because I think they're giving Eli Holstein, the starter to start the season at Pitt, about $1 million in NIL money. So to sit a guy like that for a kid who had one P4 offer, which was Pitt, to come in and take over as your starting quarterback is awesome. He's playing unbelievable football right now. A little reckless with the ball at times, but overall, Mason Heinchel, at 18 years old, has very impressed me this season.
Let's just dig into the numbers real quick. Carr is completing almost 68% of his passes. Heinzel's completing 64%. Both of them are throwing the ball for over 250 yards a game. Carr has 19 touchdown passes, 4 picks. Heinzel has 12 touchdown passes and 5 picks. But what really pops out to me is C.J. Carr's averaging 10.1 yards per pass. That leads the nation. And when you look at the vertical game, I work for Al Davis, sorry to hit you, but Al Davis loved the vertical game. And I don't think anybody's throwing the ball down the field like Notre Dame is.
Yeah, and again, Notre Dame, very good team last season, right? Went to the national championship, lost 1 game up until that final game against Ohio State. They were only averaging 7.7 yards per pass with Riley Leonard at center. So having 3 extra yards per completed pass is a huge step up in the passing game of this already good team, which has really elevated them into this season.
I watched the game carefully. Everybody talks about how the game has evolved. I think the game is dissolving in a lot of ways. I see more bubble screens and quick screen crap in every level of football. I can't take it. But when I watch Notre Dame, almost 25% of their passes are traveling over 20 yards or more in the air. Man, you see guys running routes. They got some big-time receivers, which we'll get to in a minute. But they are pushing the envelope with this young quarterback, C.J. Carr. And one more thing on Mason Heinchel. For a guy to come off the bench and take his team to 5 straight ACC wins, how do you think a young guy like this can handle this much success so fast?
Well, I think you don't have enough time to sort of sit back and take it all in, right? You're moving so quick, you're moving so fast. Pitt is coming off a bye, so he'll have 2 weeks to prepare for this Notre Dame game. I'm hoping the 18-year-old has them, which, again, we talked to him, very mature kid, so I'm hoping his maturity and his confidence level will ride him into this big matchup against Notre Dame.
Couple things that pop out at me. We always go over the turnover battle, and I think there is a big discrepancy here. Pitt is -1 on the turnover ledger. They did throw a bunch of interceptions before Heinchel took over, but they are -1. Notre Dame is +10. That's significant.
It's a big difference.
And then on 4th down, what I love is Narduzzi on defense. He and his defensive coordinator, they do a great job, Randy Bates. Opposing defenses that go for it against Pitt are 1 for 10. That's pretty damn good. And offensively, when Pitt goes for it, they're 14 out of 20. That's 70%. So both of those numbers favor Pitt. Notre Dame has struggled. On defense, not too bad. Opponents are 9 for 21 going for it on 4th down. But Notre Dame offensively, just 10 for 22. They don't have a reliable field goal kicker, and they've had to go for it in some tough spots.
Yeah, and they've used 3 place kickers this season. So again, if you have you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. If you have 3 kickers, you have no kickers.
No kickers.
So 3 kickers this season is a big problem for Notre Dame. And again, it puts them in some tough spots late in the game.
Well, let's tell the fans about the place kicking situation. For Pitt, they have a hell of a kicker. Trey Butkowski's 19 for 21. At one point, he hit 16 in a row. He's 19 for 21. He's 40 for 41 on PATs. Narduzzi has no problem kicking it. But for Marcus Freeman, I don't know what they're doing. They're down to Eric Schmidt now. He's 19 for 20 on PATs, but he's 0 for 2 kicking field goals. Just 2 weeks ago against Boston College, I'm like, the hell's going on? He had 3 kickers. They're 1 for 3 on PATs, 0 for 1 on field goals. That's going to kill Notre Dame, I think, potentially in a big game like this.
And you never think about that until it's too late. So again, if you're Notre Dame, you got to figure that kicking situation out pretty quickly because the last stretch of the season into the playoff, it will matter.
And one other thing regarding special teams, both of these teams have excellent returners. How about this Jadarian Price? We know he's a great running back, but he's taken 2 kickoffs back this year for touchdowns, took 1 back last year. He's a hell of a kickoff returner. Why would you kick to the guy?
Having a guy like that can not only be your complimentary running back, but be a guy that can return kicks like that is such a huge advantage. So Notre Dame's in a great spot on the ground and in the kick return game.
And Pitt, when you punt the ball to Pitt, they could put Desmond Reed back there. He took 1 to the house. And they could put Kenny Johnson, their excellent receiver, back there. Notre Dame's got to be careful punting the ball to Pitt.
Absolutely. Both teams can really bite you on the ground, which is really going to be a compliment to these passing games. I'm very excited to see how these running games can kind of battle each other on Saturday.
Notre Dame, 7-2. They start 0-2. They've been playing every game since that 0-2 start with kind of an elimination mindset. Man, if we don't win this game, we're done. And that puts a lot of pressure on, but they did it last year.
Yep.
After they lost to Northern Illinois, they went out there with that single elimination mindset, reeled off 11, 12 straight victories. That says a lot about Marcus Freeman and his coaching staff, too.
Notre Dame not being in a conference puts them in a spot where they really can lose 2 games a season and be totally fine. There's no risk of a 13th conference championship game for Notre Dame. So again, you lose your first 2 games of the season to good teams, you win out, you will make the college football playoff no matter what. So they have been playing with their backs against the wall, but at the same time, they know that their schedule is set up in a way where they can lose a couple games and still make it. So they're playing with a little issue schedule-wise, but at the same time, I give them credit for being in the spot that they're in and winning these games.
Let's talk about Pitt for a minute. This ACC thing, I don't understand it. You're a big ACC
Yes,
guy coming from Virginia,
Yep.
but everybody's 5-1 in the whole league. Does the winner of the ACC get an automatic playoff berth?
Technically speaking, they don't. So the way it works is the playoff right now is set up in a way where the top 5, quote, highest graded conference champions get a bid. So there is a scenario, and I'm not rooting for this scenario as my ACC hat and my ACC sweatshirt are on, where Duke could sneak their way into the ACC championship game. They're currently 5-4. They could win the ACC championship game and still not make the playoff because JMU would go 12-1, they could win the Sun Belt, and then USF could go 12-1, and they could win the American. So there is a scenario.
That's not going to happen, man. Georgia Tech is 5-1.
Yeah.
SMU is 5-1.
Correct.
The Pitt Panthers are 5-1, and your Virginia Cavaliers are 5-1.
And Duke is 4-1.
And Duke is 4-1. So we're going to duke it out. We're going to see what happens. But there's a lot of pressure on both of these teams to win this game to stay alive in the college football playoff tournament format. Let's get into it. All right, let's talk about this Pitt offense against this Notre Dame defense. Pitt's offensive coordinator is Cade Bell, 32 years old. His dad, Kerwin Bell, former Florida Gator quarterback, doing a great job at Western Carolina. But the kid is 32 years old. What a job he's done. Going up against Chris Ash, the new defensive coordinator at Notre Dame. He took over for Al Golden, who went back to the NFL. But why don't you update us on statistics, where these two teams rank?
Yeah, Pitt's offense is ranking 6th in the country in scoring, averaging about 40 points a game. Notre Dame's defense, 17th in the scoring category. Total offense, Pitt's at 36th in the country. Notre Dame's at 45th. Rushing offense, Pitt's ranking 104th, so that's a big contrast with Notre Dame. Notre Dame's rushing defense is tied for 15th in the country. And Pitt's sitting at 10th best passing offense in the nation to just Notre Dame's 95th ranked passing defense. So a little bit of a disparity there on the passing side of the ball, as well as the rushing inversely for Notre Dame's defense.
And this Cade Bell, I watch Pitt play. It's an open style offense. What I love about them, even though their rushing statistics say they're 104th, they can still run the ball. They got two really good backs. And I think Desmond Reed, if he's healthy, he comes back. This guy was a second-team All-American last year. He can catch the ball coming out of the backfield, and they got a true freshman. I don't like him. I love this Boosie Turner guy. I'm watching him against Florida State. He wears number 25. He's got 400 yards rushing. Everybody's talking about Price and Love, the two great halfbacks at Notre Dame, the best tandem in the country. I think Pitt, with Desmond Reed and Boosie Turner, are very underrated. They could steal this show.
I don't want to say anything too crazy. You show me some film on Boosie. It looks like Barry Sanders. His shift.
He's good, man.
He's so quick. He's so just elusive. I love watching him run the ball.
Yeah, and Desmond Reed's got 17 catches for 250 yards. You know, Desmond Reed got hurt against West Virginia. I think it was September 13th. Then he got re-injured against NC State. He did not play last week against Stanford. I am told that he is healthy. He's ready to go. I can't wait to see these two backs because a good running game could definitely help their young quarterback. But when you look at Mason Heischel, he has got three receivers that have a can of whoop-ass.
Oh, yeah. And my favorite one is Kenny Johnson. He wears number 2. Kind of gives me a little Stephon Diggs back when he was with Josh Allen in Buffalo.
Call.
Little 6'1", 205 pounds, really shifty, great get-off, and he's averaging about 15.5 yards per catch. He is open on every single play. Watch out for Kenny Johnson, number 2 against this Notre Dame defense.
Well, I like Pop Williams. He wears number 5, and this Blue Hicks. They got nicknames for all these guys. Boosie Turner, Blue Hicks is number 3. Pop Williams wearing number 5. The Pitt Panthers are the only team in the country, okay, that have 3 receivers that have over 350 yards, have scored 4 or more touchdowns, and average more than 14.5 yards a catch. Think about that. You got 3 guys that can hurt you. After the catch, down the field, you got a young quarterback with 2 good backs that are both good receivers. I like the skilled players that Pitt has, man.
Yeah, and all 3 of these guys have had at least one 100-yard receiving game this season. Some have had a multiple, but that just shows you that they don't have a go-to guy. They have 3 go-to guys, which is great for this Pitt offense.
They do a lot of things. You'll see shovel passes, some gadgetry. You'll see the Wildcat. Cade Bell does a great job keeping defenses off balance. They don't throw the ball to the tight end a lot, but they do have some firepower, man, and they can score fast.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 40 points a game is not an accident. So, obviously, they're getting the ball to whoever they want to get it to. Rushing game's doing its job. And Mason Heischel under center is controlling this offense very, very well.
I think the big concern for me when I look at Pitt is you have a guy that started 5 or 6 games at quarterback. And sometimes you see blitz looks, and you wish maybe you'd see Mason Heischel audible to fix the protection, change the play. I don't know how advanced they are with the blitz pickups, the hot receivers. I think there is some issues there. Heischel had 2 interceptions in the red zone last week against Stanford. They're averaging almost 3 sacks a game, which is not very good in NCAA standards. And I think their offensive line's got some issues. They've struggled at right tackle. Number 70, Ryan Bears, had some issues in pass protection. And their left tackle, Percy, he's been out. He's a 6-year senior. He didn't play last week. So they're down to their backup left tackle, Kendall Stanley. The offensive line, young quarterback against this Notre Dame front could spell trouble.
Yeah, the good news if you're a Pitt fan is the quarterback you're playing has only played 9 games. So it's not like you have a lot of experience on the other side of the ball. But yes, Mason Heischel only being in his 6th game this season and in his career could pose a little bit of an experience problem against a good Notre Dame defense.
Let's talk about this Notre Dame defense. Chris Ash, he spent some time in the NFL. I remember he was the co-coordinator at Ohio State when they won a national championship. I think it was 2014. He was a D coordinator at Wisconsin, Arkansas, Texas. Like most of us coaches, he's been around, you know. But Ash inherited this Notre Dame defense, and they lost 5 really good players last year to the draft. And then he loses a few other players to injury. They are scrambling, but they make a lot of adjustments throughout the season. They were giving up 33 points a game after their first few games. Everybody's like, what the hell's wrong with this defense? But really in the last 6 or 7 games, they're giving up 12 points a game. They have really gotten better.
Yeah, again, to start the season, Notre Dame played 2 very good teams, Miami and Texas A&M. If it's not for a crazy one-handed catch against Miami and, A&M getting a lucky little hole, but they put up 41 points, whatever. It's really the one outlier of this season has been the 41 points for Texas A&M against Notre Dame. So this Notre Dame defense has gotten better and better and better as the season's gone on, and I give a lot of credit to the D coordinator.
When you watch Notre Dame play Navy last week, Navy's going to run the ball in every play. They were missing their starting quarterback. It was a hard game to watch. And their best pass rusher, Bubakar, he wears number 5. He's got 7 sacks. He doesn't even play in a game. What's your take on that?
I think when you're playing a team like Navy without Blake Horvath, you can kind of really get away with whatever you want to get away with. Again, if you're Notre Dame, I think you're also kind of holding on for the end of season sort of push. So I don't take a ton of stock into anything that happened in the BC game, the Navy game, really anything besides the game they played against Southern California. But yeah, having a guy like that not play is a big loss, and they still kind of got the job done pretty easily.
Well, Notre Dame's going to need Bubakar to rush the passer against this young quarterback. And they have a backup left tackle. So I expect that to be a big matchup. Bubakar against Kendall Stanley, left tackle of Pitt against the 7-sack man of the Fighting Irish. They also have a guy, Donovan Heinisch, who didn't play last week either. He has a concussion. We think he's going to play. He wears number 41. And they have Bryant Young's son. Can you imagine having your dad being a Hall of Famer? But Bryce Young, he's got 1.5 sacks. He hasn't delivered the wow plays or the wow game. Maybe this is the week he really cuts it loose against Pitt.
Yeah, and again, this is a big game with big stakes for Notre Dame. You're saying the same thing I'm saying. Every game for them right now is a playoff game. So they're going into this Pitt game, college game day, on the road. They have to get to the quarterback because they have to win this football game.
I think the pass rush, whether it be a 4-man rush or some of Chris Ash's blitzes, is going to have a lot to do with the outcome of the game. The Fighting Irish have a very good athletic back end, man. They got an excellent linebacking core. You like Derek Brown, number 34?
I sure do, yeah.
They got another guy named Kingston Viliamuasa. It's a fun name to say.
Very fun. Viliamuasa?
Hey, he wears number 27. He's got 44 tackles. He's got a interception, 6.5 tackles for a loss. He can blitz. He can shoot his gun, man. He and Brown are excellent players. And then you got Jalen Sneed. Hell, he's got 5 TFLs, 3 sacks. He can run over backs. The guy can whoop a tight end. They got another linebacker at Notre Dame, this number 4, Jaden Ausberry. He's got over 40 tackles and 2 sacks. I think his dad's the AD at LSU.
Yeah, his dad Bird.
They got 4 linebackers, man, that are going to be fresh and they're going to be active in this game. But I think these linebackers are going to have their hands full with these 2 backs and the underneath passing game, the shovel passes. There's a lot of inventory for them to defend.
Yeah, again, 3 great receivers and 2 great backs with a quarterback playing as good as really anybody in the country right now. It's a lot to handle if you're a linebacking core at Notre Dame.
The corners for Notre Dame, they're led by one of the best shutdown guys I've seen this year. He wears number 15, Leonard Moore. He's 6'2", 195 pounds. He's got the length that I like. Length, they measure you from fingertip to fingertip. Did you know that?
Yep.
Then they measure you from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. I guarantee you his length is longer this way than it is this way. He has long arms. He can really use them. He's great in press coverage. He can play off. He can break and drive. He's got 2 interceptions. And I like to look at the target reel. He's only been targeted 31 times. People are scared of this guy.
Yeah. And also, you're coming off a game, I want to reiterate this to people at home, you're coming off a game against Navy where they attempted 10 passes. So these guys didn't get a ton of work last weekend, and then you're coming into a game where this pass offense is one of the best in the country. It should be interesting to see how that happens from last Saturday to this Saturday for these corners at Notre Dame.
Well, if you're Leonard Moore and you're standing out there, you break the huddle, here comes Kenny Johnson after you. That's a great matchup.
Awesome
He'll be
matchup.
as good a receiver as Moore has seen all year.
Yep.
And if they put Pop Williams goes out there, he'll give you trouble, and so will Blue Hicks. So Pitt has some guys I can't wait to see Moore deal with.
Yep. Look for a lot of quick, to your point with the offensive line problems, look for a lot of quick underneath passes, a lot of, maybe bubble screens, quick stuff to get Heinzel out of trouble, but these corners are going to have their hands full with these 3 great receivers.
Well, like I said, he hadn't been targeted that much. All the targets go over here to Christian Gray. Christian Gray, he missed the game last week now, but he's been targeted 51 times. It's kind of like Riley Moss of the Broncos with Pat Surtain. Nobody messes with Surtain. They go after Christian Gray. He's been targeted 51 times. I counted them. And he has 8 PBUs. He's got 2 picks. He's given up some plays. He wears number 6. That's where Pitt is going to be going. They're going to be going after Gray like everybody else does. But he has no conscience, man. If he gets beat, he comes back. He's a lot like Riley Moss. He's got the perfect temperament I like. But he didn't play last week. I saw Devonta Smith, who moved from the nickel corner outside. What do you know about Gray? Is he going to play?
As of right now, again, we're filming this, I think, on a Tuesday, so it's a little early in the week to have the injury report. I like Christian Gray, though. I think it's a fun story because, to your point with Riley Moss and Pat Surtain, iron sharpens iron. So if you're getting all those looks and all those reps on one side of the field, it's going to make you a better player. So he has excelled and gotten better and better and better every week with the workload that he's gotten. And I expect him to play. I would hope he's going to play. And again, I think, you could have probably thrown Gaither High School out against Navy last week and they would have gotten the job done. So maybe Notre Dame is being a little more conservative with who they played last weekend. But this is a big game that's a must-win. I think Christian Gray is going to play.
Well, with more over there, we're going over here, especially knowing Christian Gray might not even be healthy. So that's something to keep an eye on, everybody. Another thing I love about the Fighting Irish are their safeties. Over the years, Notre Dame is famous for tight ends and safeties. You look at the NFL right now, you look at Harrison Smith and Kyle Hamilton, Julian Love, Alohi Gilman. Hell, you look around there, Xavier Watts starting for the Falcons. Now they got a couple more safeties. This Tay Johnson, he wears number 9. He's a badass, man.
Sure is.
I mean, this guy can cover grass. He's got 40-plus tackles, 3 interceptions. He definitely looks like a first-round pick to me.
Yeah, and he made a big impact against Boston College. He had 2 picks in that game, and that was a game that they struggled with a lot, and he made a lot of big plays and kept them in that game.
The other safety, number 8, Aiden Schuler, heck of a player, production. He's a hitter, man. He comes up in the paint. He can whack. He's forced the ball out twice. He's got a nose for the rock. He likes the briar patch, over 40 tackles. He's got range and ball skills. He's got 2 picks. Schuler, Tay Johnson. Then they got Luke Talich. Luke Talich, he wears number 28. Here's a third safety that leads the team with 3 picks. They got 3 guys that are very instinctive. They're great communicators. They haven't given up a lot of big plays. And if Heinzel makes some mistakes, these guys will make you pay.
Yep, that plus 10 turnover margin does not happen by accident. That's not a mistake. So obviously the offense is taking care of the ball, but these guys are forcing fumbles. They're picking the ball off. They're doing a great job back there.
Boubacar has really got to get his game going against this Pitt offensive line. Great day for Bryce Young to have a breakout ball game. And I think the Pitt Panthers are going to go after Christian Gray. I think he's coming off an injury. I think that's significant. And I do think, as you say, the interceptions by Heinzel have this secondary of Notre Dame salivating. But what really pops at me is I think Pitt has to take a good look at their red zone. They're going to have to score touchdowns when they get in the red zone. In the last 3 games with Heinzel at quarterback, they've been down there 19 times. And they've got 10 touchdowns, 5 field goals, but they've turned the ball over 4 times, come away with nothing. Notre Dame's red zone defense could be the deciding factor here. They've only allowed 11 red zone touchdowns this year. They know what they're doing down there.
Yeah, and Mason Heinzel turned the ball over twice against Stanford in the red zone. And Narduzzi and him both came out after the game and said, Mason's trying to do too much. It's a little inexperienced. He's trying to force things a little bit here and there. So again, with this bye week last week, I think they'll have some good preps, some good talks about how to do that in the red zone and hopefully come out with a little more protective of a ball plan there.
And I'm sure that Pitt will take advantage of the playing surface. That's such great sod they have in this stadium at Pittsburgh. I hear Aaron Rodgers and Tomlin, all the Steeler guys, love playing on that grass.
Yeah, there were some talks about Aaron Rodgers said, quote, the field was unplayable, I believe, in week 6 of the NFL season. So they've resodded Acrisure Stadium. So we'll see if that makes any sort of impact on this game with the running games. But that's definitely something to look for with a little bit of a colder weather on Saturday.
Pitt is the 10th ranked pass offense in the country. They got 3 excellent receivers. They got backs that can catch it. I think they're going to have to throw the ball to win, and they're going to have to protect. It's going to come down to that, Jake. Pass protection against this Fighting Irish pressure package. All right, another great matchup is this Notre Dame offense against this Pitt Panther defense. Just carefully take us through the numbers, Jake.
Yeah, so a top 10 scoring matchup. in this game. Notre Dame ranks 9th in the country on offense total scoring. To go back to Pitt's, they rank 6th, so top 10 game. Pitt's defense in scoring is tied for 43rd in the country, which is middle of the road, pretty above average. Notre Dame's total offense 15th, Pitt's defense 25th. This is the big one. Notre Dame's rushing offense ranks 26th, and Pitt's rushing defense ranks 3rd in the country. That's a big number to look at in this game. And then Notre Dame's passing offense is ranking 25th in the nation to Pitt's defense ranking 89th in rush defense. So a little bit of a discrepancy there. But that rush defense for Pitt is the number I'm looking at.
Well, that last discrepancy, I mean, it's a high-scoring game. Both of these offenses score almost 40 points a game. Both these quarterbacks are red hot. They both have great receivers. Pitt has the 10th ranked pass offense. Notre Dame has the 95th ranked pass defense. And over here you're saying Notre Dame has the 25th ranked pass offense and Pitt has the 89th. So I think it goes to show you both of these pass defenses are under siege, man. But Randy Bates, the defensive coordinator for Pitt, let's start right here. In the last 5 games, they're giving up about 21 points a game, much improved. This is a big play defense. Narduzzi's the godfather of it. I used to broadcast, and I'd broadcast the Outback Bowl here in Tampa. Narduzzi's the D coordinator at Pitt. That's when I became good friends with them. And the reason I love the guys, I love the way they coach defense. I love the way they practice defense, and I love the way they play. Remember, we had the quarterback from Syracuse in here last year. Who did he throw 5 interceptions against? Pitt. I mean, the guy understands how to really ruin protections. It's a blitzing, disguising, multiple defense. Randy Bates calls it 2.7 sacks a game. That puts them in the top 20. And they get sacks from everywhere. Hell, I'm watching the Stanford film last week. They get 5 sacks from 5 different guys. The ends get them, the linebackers get them. It's a barrage of blitzes, almost 8 tackles for loss per game. That's why the rushing stats are so good. They get penetration, unblocked blitzers, kabam, 3-yard loss. They knock you behind in the down and distance, 2nd and 12, 3rd and 14, and then they cut these blitzes loose, man.
Yep, and they got 8 guys with multiple sacks on the season, which ties for the highest in all of P4. So again, everybody's eating on this defense when it comes to getting to the quarterback.
Yeah, 2 of the last 3 games, they've had 3 interceptions in each game. I mean, they got guys that can key the ball, key the quarterback. They know when it comes out quick, and they know how to rally on it, and they got guys that can make plays. The exciting thing for me is it's Narduzzi and Randy Bates up against Mike Denbrock, the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame. Now, Denbrock, as you know, was at LSU with Jaden Daniels. Denbrock is like an offensive guru. He comes to Notre Dame last year. Riley Leonard comes in as the transfer. They go all the way, damn near win the national title. Now, his development of C.J. Carr has been impressive.
Yeah, Tom Brady said that he hasn't seen a quarterback looking like C.J. Carr.
What's Tom Brady know about
since
anything?
Joe Burrow. So, it's a little high praise from one of the better quarterbacks to ever play the game. But C.J. Carr's looked like a serious 3-year, 4-year starter, and he's only played 9 games, so I give him a lot of credit for that.
Well, it's a big play offense, and they got big play players. They average 14.9 yards per completion. So when you see C.J. Carr throw it, something good's happening most of the time. And they got 2 great backs. And I think Jeremiah Love could be one of the top 3 picks in this upcoming draft. He's as good as any college football player I've seen.
And we have that sort of precedent set with last year's Ashton Genty. He's playing as good, if not better, than he was, with a little bit more difficult of a schedule. So I give Jeremiah Love, a hat tip, and he'll be a pretty high pick in this year's draft.
Big concern I have with Notre Dame is their red zone offense. Can they finish with points? We know they can score touchdowns. They've been down there 44 times, Jake. They've got 30 touchdowns, and they've got 4 field goals, which means 10 times they've come away with nothing. They got to go for it because they don't trust their kicker or they miss field goals. I'm a little worried about their red zone offense with their lack of field goal kicker. I think it really affects their strategy.
It sure does. I watched the Boston College game. They had to go for it a couple more times than I think they would have liked to with the kicking issues. So, again, if you have 3 kickers, you have no kickers. Having a kicker is huge. They don't really have one. That could be a big, big problem in Pittsburgh on Saturday.
Notre Dame, let's start with these running backs. This is as good a tandem as I have ever seen in college football. When my dad was a running back coach, we had Vegas Ferguson and Jerome Evans. They've had great tandems before. When you look at Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, what jumps off the film when you watch them with me?
I honestly, if I may, they're a little hit or miss for me, personally. I watched them play against Boston College. Yes, Jeremiah Love had about 140 yards, but 94 of them came on one big run. So, the average, runs yards per carry there was not that much. I know Jadarian Price had about 9 carries for 12 yards. So sometimes there are games, in Boston College, as you know, is a juggernaut in the ACC, where these guys may struggle as a little bit of a ground game duo. Now, again, there are other games where they put up 400 yards combined and they have 4 touchdowns, like the USC game. So
you didn't bring up the USC
hit or
game.
miss a little bit for me.
They hit their head on the goalpost
The
like 4
bottom
times.
line for me with these two guys is when they are great, they are the best I've probably ever seen, and when they're not great, it's kind of a little stinky. So I'm hoping that these two guys can get it together and have their great game on Saturday.
Here's how I see it, Jake. If you load the box to stop the run, C.J. Carr and Denbrock, they're going to throw it over your freaking head, man. And if you spread them out to cover these receivers, because we're going to get into these guys, they will hand the ball off to these cats and they will kill you. Jeremiah Love, when you watch him play, why he is not a top candidate to win the Heisman Trophy, I have no idea. He's got 28 runs for 10 yards or more, 4 yards per carry after contact. He runs with power. He has the breakaway speed. The run he made against Navy last week, good God. I see him run down the field and catch a pass one-handed for a touchdown. This guy's got a lot of Reggie Bush in his game. My friend Mel Kiper has him going number 2 overall. And Mel Kiper hates taking running backs in the first round. I mean, this guy's a great back. And Price is his backup. Other than a few fumbles that Price has had, he's been spectacular. So I think that's a problem for Pitt. But, as you say, there's more to it than running a football. Let's talk about the receivers on this Notre Dame football team. Go ahead.
Yeah, first and foremost, my guy, Malachi Fields, the transfer from Virginia.
Well, he wanted a better education.
Exactly right. So he's playing very, very good football now for Notre Dame. And then my favorite receiver on Notre Dame is Jordan Faison, because he plays lacrosse. He won a national championship with the Notre Dame lacrosse team. He is a freak athlete, very good twitch, played great in the national championship last year. But those two guys are making great plays for Notre Dame's offense.
Tell you what really blows my mind is when I watched Notre Dame, we had Riley Leonard in here last year. They had a receiver named Jaden Greathouse. And in the Penn State-Ohio State game, the last 2 games, he went off, man. He had like 13 catches. He was the guy. I couldn't wait to see what he did this year. But he's had a hamstring. He's missed 5 games. I think Greathouse only has 4 catches this year for 45 yards. I haven't seen much from him. Don't forget that name. He wears number 1. Greathouse is a great receiver. But this Malachi Fields, he's averaging 20 yards a catch, man. The guy's got 25 grabs, 500 yards. Fields wears number 0.
Which you love.
And he is 6'5" and all of that. He looks like Herman Moore, not to make you sad for losing him, but he's a great young receiving prospect. And I want to go back to this Faison guy. He is quick, man. He's made about 20 guys miss. You check the Pro Football Focus stats. This guy has stop and start quickness. He can really accelerate after the catch. 43 catches, 545 yards. C.J. Carr likes him underneath. And then they got another guy, this Will Pauling comes in here. In the last 5 games, Will Pauling, 17 catches, almost 320 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's a Wisconsin Badger transfer. I didn't know Notre Dame got transferred.
Yeah, right. And I'm pretty sure he's pretty pumped to be on a passing offense like this, coming from a team like Wisconsin.
Yeah, but they have, when you think about Fields, Greathouse, Faison, and Pauling, that's 4 really good receivers. But the guy I love the most is the tight end, man. Talk to me about that cat.
So Notre Dame, known as a tight end factory,
You
right?
think?
Kyle Rudolph, Michael Mayer.
Ted McAfee.
These guys come out of Notre Dame, and he is the next great Notre Dame tight end.
Mark Bavaro.
In this long line of Notre Dame tight ends. And you like him because why?
I like him because he can get down the field. I like a tight end because he can block the C gap. He can pass protect. This guy's a real tight end, man. He's got over 400 yards receiving. When you average 17 yards a catch as a tight end, that's saying something. But he does a lot in the running game. There's a reason why Love and Price are very effective, and Reardon is a big part of it. I love him. He wears number 9, and you'll really like him watching him play. The offensive line for Notre Dame, a little bit like Pitt, has some issues. Now, I know they've only given up 10 sacks, and that really is impressive. But they're playing 3 new players. They've had 3 starters go down. A lot of people forget that Anthony Knapp got this job because of an injury. The center right now, Otting, he's in there because of an injury. And at right guard, you see Lambert in there because of an injury. They have done a hell of a job with a lot of underclass linemen. 3 starters have gone down, and Notre Dame is still blocking them up front.
And this is a great matchup for me because Notre Dame's offensive line is a top 20 offensive line in terms of not giving up sacks, and Pitt's defensive line is a top 20 D-line in getting sacks. So one of those has to give on Saturday. I'm excited to see which one it is.
Let's talk about this front for the Pittsburgh Panthers. Aaron Donald's going to be at the game, man. 97, the Pitt Panthers are going to be checking that guy out. And Sam Fitzsimmons, number 55, he's an internal pass rusher. He's had a nice year. And off the edge, I really like Jimmy Scott and Isaiah Neal. They seem to be productive pass rushers that can really win in one-on-one situations.
Yeah, 6.5 sacks between the 2 of them this season, and I expect them to get a few on Saturday against C.J. Carr in this offense.
To me, the strength of the Panther defense is this linebacking core. I love Kyle Lewis, number 9. He missed a couple games. You talk about a factor grade. You know, I always point out that factor grade. This Kyle Lewis, he comes back against Stanford. He's got 10 tackles. He hits the quarterback, 2 PBUs, an interception. He's got 53 tackles, man, 5.5 tackles for loss. He's got 2 sacks, 2 picks. He forces fumbles. He's a second-team All-American last year. This is a first-round draft choice, Kyle Lewis, number 9. The other linebackers that are impressive are Braylon Lovelace. He wears number 0. He communicates. He hasn't missed time. He's got over 50 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss. He'll shoot his gun, man. You better be ready to come off on the double teams. And I'm really excited that Rasheed Biles is back. He's been out for a couple weeks. He's a badass, number 3. You got Biles and Lewis and the productive Lovelace in the middle going up against Jeremiah Love and Price. That's why they're the 3rd-ranked defense against the run. These linebackers, they're instinctive. They have a great ability to find the ball and then make the tackle with no yardage after contact. I can't wait to see these guys against Love in the hole.
And if you want to put some good stuff on tape for NFL scouts or whatever it is, like there is not a better backfield to do so against than these 2 guys at Notre Dame.
They got a true freshman, Sean Lee, a local kid. He comes in there, 5'10", 180 pounds. He had a pick 6 last week against Stanford. It looked like a professional, man. He just smooth, ball skills, read it, timed it. And then he has an end-of-game PBU against Florida State. This guy's got a lot of savvy, a lot of confidence. He's way beyond his years. But for him to play as well as he is, it's a credit to him. But I think Sean Lee, the other corners, Tom and Lynham, number 8, and this Rashad Battle, number 15, good players, but they're going to have their hands full with the Fighting Irish. And what do? Do they pressure C.J. Carr? Do they load the blocks and try to stop Jeremiah Love and single these receivers? Because as you said, Faison, and I'm telling you, Malachi Fields, Pauling, and Greathouse, they can present real problems.
Yeah, I don't think either of these teams are going to out-defense the other. I think it's going to be who can score more points in this one. But again, 2 great offenses are going to pose these defenses real issues.
I think it's going to come down to, can these corners, can they hold up on the outside? Because C.J. Carr has no conscience. He has no problem. If it's one-on-one, he's going to trust his guys to make plays. We'll see if Sean Lee, Battle, and Lynham are up to the challenge, because they will be tested. And I can't wait to see these linebackers and this front 7 a bit against, I think, the best running back in college football. Well, you got to pick somebody, Jake. You've done a lot of work on this. I'm proud of you, man. That's really good stuff. Who are you taking in this game?
As much as it pains me to say, I think what it really comes down to for me is who needs to win the game more. And in reality, Pitt does not need to win this game to make the college football playoff. Notre Dame does. I will be taking Notre Dame 38-31 in a high-scoring Saturday thriller.
As much as I got respect for Notre Dame, they look great. I really think they look great. They're going to be honoring the great Aaron Donald. This is the 50th anniversary of Tony Dorsett. I'm going back to Pitt, man. We got beat 42-7 by the Irish. I'm going to Pitt Panthers, 34-30. Mason Heinzel shreds them. You know, in 1991, when I was a receiver coach at Pitt, we had our receivers in three-point stances. That's what Paul Hackett, the head coach, wanted because the 49ers did that in the late 80s. So we were in a three-point stance. This is practice tape from 1991 on the AstroTurf when I was at Pitt. Look at that coach right there. That's me right there, Malasek. Here goes our receivers. We're going cross-country to block the free safety. And I had a graduate coach out there helping me every day. He was Mike McCarthy. He was my GA. Look at Mike. We were working together. Now you see our receivers come off the ball. Look at McCarthy. He put a helmet on. He had the Pitt helmet on because he was being the corner, and we were working on our stock blocking. I tell you what, our receivers, we had the worst stances, but we practiced our asses off stock blocking and cross-country blocking. That was the most fun I ever had, me and McCarthy. How about that, 1991?